the weekly podcast where people reach their goals and develop confidence one mind shift habit at a time. Let's join our host, certified coach Christina.
Hello, welcome to Conversations with Coach. I am your host, certified mindset and confidence coach, Christina Calloway. I help athletes, parents, and coaches develop the confidence they need to reach their goals, both on and off the field of play. What comes to mind when you hear Noah Kagan, LeBron James, Gary Vee, Seth Goins, Seth Godin, Oprah Winfrey? Maybe you thought about what they do individually. What should have come to mind is these individuals have their own unique brand. Have you ever stopped to think about yourself? Yeah. Do you have a personal brand? What is a personal brand? Do you even need a personal brand? You may remember a few episodes back, and I talked about having a whole brand team and me taking my whole brand through a rebranding. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Personal brand and rebranding. And on this episode of Conversations with Coach, I'm going to be joined by a guest who truly understands the power of personal branding. What you may be surprised to learn is he is not a social media guru. And he's not what you would call a brand master in the sense that it's not his day-to-day profession. My guest today is a physician who wants to share with others in his field and many of you the importance of having multiple streams of income. And before I bring him out, allow me to share a little bit more about him. My guest today is none other than Dr. Clarence Lee Jr. Dr. Lee is a physician entrepreneur. He's a nationally celebrated author and international speaker, and he is the president and CEO of Exhort Health. That is a multi-specialty healthcare startup his vision is to change everything about healthcare. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited to talk to him about that because as we know, healthcare right now, it is something else. He is a former student athlete, and Dr. Lee holds a degree in biology from the University of Incarnate Word, and he holds a degree in medicine and an MBA in business from Drexel University. He is a decorated war veteran, and he served in the United States Air Force for 10 years. He has held several assignments, and his last being a flight surgeon flying the T-38 and a U-2 airframes in one of the most elite squadrons in the United States Air Force. He is the author of the most inspirational memoir, Well, My Mom Says, as well as his latest book, Persist. He is a columnist for several publications, and his work has been featured in Live Happy magazine, Black Fitness Today, and Essence magazine, just to name a few. He regularly appears as an on-air TV health expert and has been featured in segments on ABC, CBS, and Fox television stations. And recently, Dr. Lee was named top 40 under 40 by the Sacramento Business Journal and Drexel University. He has been highlighted as one of the top healthcare entrepreneurs to to Know by Becker's Hospital Review, one of the top Black entrepreneurs to follow by Yahoo Finance, and is also a recent recipient of the Black Enterprise Modern Man Award. Dr. Lee is a devoted husband and father, and he lives in Southern California and loves spending time with his family. His wife and his children are the parents of 5. And I am so excited that he has stopped by Conversations with Coach. So help me welcome our guest, Dr. Lee. So thank you so much for joining me. And I wanted to ask you, as I was reading your bio, I thought about, and I came across, there are several things. First of all, I want to talk about the physician entrepreneur, but I was also, when I got to the part where it was talking about your military career and being the flight surgeon, and it's something that I've always wondered for those who are in the military, and it talks about being a surgeon, a flight surgeon. Do you actually perform surgery in flight?
No, so it's kind of it's a historic title, but no, there's actually no surgery that happens in flight. The flight surgeon is a aerospace medicine specialist that takes care of pilots and any flyers just in general. So my specialty was in understanding the work environment of aviators. And so the Air Force sends doctors to ground school and teaches us how to fly. So then we're better able to assess the pilot's ability to do their job.
I understand. That's a good segue into the first topic. And what inspired you to become a physician?
Um, I got a really good story. I'll try to tell it really quickly. But my mom was a nurse, and she introduced me to medicine really early. She basically went through the hospital and found every physician of color and asked them to mentor her son. And so I always had this idea that I was going to become a doctor just because all my mentors were, and my mom was telling me this is what you're going to do since I was like, yeah. But I do remember one distinctive night when I went to work with my mom. So my mom was a single mom, and mothers are amazing. I don't know how she worked this out, but she brought her kids to work with her at night. I don't know how. So one night I'm in there. She was in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, and something hadn't been done for one of the babies. And the doctor comes in, and she's visibly upset. And people just start jumping, and they start popping. And she's like, "What's going on?" And this and that. And it was kind of the first time that I actually saw someone be upset, but to channel and do something positive with it. So up to that point in my life, I had seen when people got angry, it was like a bad thing, something bad would happen. So it gave me this idea that if I were a physician, I could fight for someone and be passionate and do the right thing by someone, and you'd have the power and the position to do it. And so that was kind of the initial kind of inspiration. I said, "Yeah, I want to do something like that. I think I could use my life to help people and make sure that I'm advocating for people that can't necessarily advocate for themselves."
That's amazing. I love it. My older sister is a physician, and I know, as just like your story, she knew very early on that is what she was going to do. And I remember every time for Christmas, she would always get toys that was around the medical field, and her always wanting to doctor on the stuffed animals or the dolls, or just providing care to other people or other things, and just having that type of a spirit. So very much so, I guess you do know that from a very early age, that's what you're going to do. Now, and also in your story that I was sharing with the audience, you founded your own healthcare, your own hospital, so to speak. Tell us more about Exhort Health.
Yeah, so I practiced in the military for about 10 years. Then I came out and I worked for a large medical group for about another 5 years. And during that time, I started to notice, hey, how a lot of the trends that are currently happening in medicine, decreased time with the patient, a lot of barriers to access to care through insurance, kind of a lot of private equity and business coming into the medical model and running it like a business. And so I almost left medicine, to be completely honest, during the pandemic, just because healthcare workers were getting crushed. We were getting crushed. And So I said, hey, if I'm not going to leave medicine, I'm going to change the things. I'm not just going to be a player in the industry. I'm going to change the industry. I'm going to make an impact in this industry. I got to start my own organization to do it. And so Exhort Health was kind of born in that moment. And so my intention with Exhort Health is really to kind of transform the delivery of healthcare and really kind of do away with insurance companies and kind of privatize a healthcare system so that we can uh, get costs down. Also, secure the cost for the patient so the patient knows how much things are costing, and add more value to them and not just fee for service. So those are kind of the areas that Exhort Health is going to disrupt medicine and kind of shake some things up.
That is wonderful, and I get excited when I read that. When I read that was your mission, and I'm getting excited listening to that undertaking that you have embarked upon, and I know that cannot be easy going against that big machine. And I just want to ask, how are you doing that?
I tell a story about even me becoming a physician. So I was the first doc in my family, first college athlete, first military officer. So I blazed a trail in a lot of the things that I've done up to this point. And even applying to medical school, it took me 5 years to become a physician. I had to apply over 500 times to get in. And so I have really developed this kind of resilience and persistence as a model for my life. So I won't say nothing's been easy, but the majority of things that I've tried to do have been difficult. Every success that someone could even say I've had, it started with failure first, and it was difficult. So I'm no stranger to adversity. I'm no stranger to challenges. But I know this is going to be an uphill battle. I know, but I feel like with physicians in leadership and ownership, we can change healthcare. So we're not just relegated to seeing the patient in the exam room. We can add value at every level of the organization. So yeah, it's a challenge, but we're up for it, and that's what we're here to do.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that mindset. I appreciate the resilience. I appreciate you speaking to the fact that along your life's journey that you've always met those types of challenges, and it's always been that fuel that has pushed you. And I appreciate the fact that you said during the pandemic you considered, I can't do this anymore. However, it wasn't I'm going to quit. I just can't do it this way anymore. I
Yeah.
still want to serve the people, and the people need it done a different way. So thank you. Thank you so much. Because during a time where you're right, you all were being
Yeah.
crushed from the perspective of, as individuals, you were facing what we were facing. You were facing this pandemic just like we were, but you were also facing it from the perspective of people looking to you for the answers. And you all did not get a break. There was no break for physicians during this pandemic.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for taking on this humongous challenge of wanting to make a difference, and not just wanting to, but you were actively determined to make a difference. And I just so appreciate you, in whatever way that I can use my platform to help you to do that. I want to be able to do that, because I agree with you. Healthcare should be different, and I think it's going to take all of us doing that. And you all are hearing his phone ring, because he is a true physician. It doesn't stop for him. It is still going to keep going, whether or not this podcast doesn't matter. He's got to take those calls, and this is real life. This is what happens, and he is a true physician. He's handling that. So as you all know, while he takes his call, there's going to be a call to action at the end of this, and he's going to share with us more on how we can help him, because we shouldn't just sit back and say, oh, Dr. Lee has this. We are going to be a part of helping him to make this change in healthcare, and he's going to share with us how we can partner with him. Dr. Lee, I want to ask you, because you said something very important, and personal branding is very near and dear. Why is it so important? Why do doctors need a personal brand? And let's talk about personal branding, because I've been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah, I'm really sensitive to it in the healthcare space, just because, as I was mentioning before, physicians have really kind of given their profession away. I mean, there's so much of the delivery of healthcare that physicians aren't involved with. And so I'm really passionate about encouraging physicians to know that they are the business. The brand is you. These other things are kind of, they're ancillaries to you, your front office staff, your back office staff, but you are the brand. The patient is coming to see you. So I'm really, um, I'm really passionate about encouraging physicians to see themselves as the brand, and that personal brand is important for so many reasons. It's not just, oh, so I can go hop and grab another position. It's really because that is what you take with you everywhere that you go. And so, and physicians are we're multi-talented, and we have multi-passion. So many people just see physicians as, oh, they just want to practice medicine, but no, we like doing other stuff too. I really encourage physicians to see their profession, medicine, as a platform, and that platform then opens doors and gives you access to other areas. And I just encourage physicians to see that, to kind of think outside of the box when it comes to the branding for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. You made a very good point of the physicians seeing themselves as a brand, because when I opened up, I threw out names. I said Gary V, I said Oprah, I said LeBron's, and we instantly get this image, the Oprah effect. We get this
Yeah.
image of those individuals. And I know when I think of my doctors, or there is an image that I do have of them. And you're right in the aspect of, it's important for the physicians that their patients form a specific brand, that they want to have that confidence, they want to have that clarity, they want to, all of the things, the five things that are just so important when you're thinking of personal branding. And I would go even a step further, that when a physician is developing their brand, that if they're not sure of what branding is, seek out that, so
Yes.
that you have that personal brand. Because right now, I know when I'm having conversations with people, people connect their doctors with the insurance company. That is not what we want. That is not what we want at all. And I think that's to your point of what you're saying. The insurance company has their own brand. You're wanting it to be stated clearly, physicians need to have their own independent
Yes.
brand away from these insurance companies. And what you're saying is, there is a way that they can do that by monetizing their professional platforms. Talk
Yes.
to them about how they're able to do that.
So I'll just give a few examples from my life. And so I've always been an encourager, someone that wanted to encourage people. So in my practice of medicine, not only do I practice medicine and diagnose, but I also think encouraging is really important. And so when I was in a residency, it was in my intern year, I started to want to encourage people, not just one on one in the exam room, but encourage students that were from areas like I was from to pursue medicine if that was something that they wanted to do. So I started sharing, and I built a speaking business out of it. So it was me going out, sharing my story. And believe it or not, you're well positioned. Once you've become a physician, you're well positioned. You are seen as an authority in a lot of areas that aren't medicine. So education, I started speaking in the education industry, and just being a doctor and having come through so much education and so much schooling, you are well positioned to speak to students and to encourage them. And that's where I started. And then from there, folks asked, "Hey, well, you really should tell your story in a book." So then I started creating products. I wrote a few books, and then from there it was like, "Hey, I really would like to work with you, one on one. Can I work with you?" So then I started coaching other physicians, other professionals to build this kind of ancillary income to their main job. And I did all this while I was practicing medicine full time. And so you can it opens up doors if you look at it as a platform, right? And you
Mhm.
see other ways that you can add value. And I would encourage physicians to do that, because as an entrepreneur, as you monetize that platform, it will actually make you a better doctor. And the reason I say that is because, many times physicians look at how they can earn money by, I got to pick up more shifts, I got to see more patients. But when you have additional streams of income coming in, you have more negotiating power when it comes to how many shifts you're going to do and how you're going to practice medicine, how many patients you're going to see. So you can push back a little bit. And so I always encourage docs, use it as a platform. You will be a better physician because of it.
That is great. So I was just going to ask you, what about the physicians who are listening to you and they're saying, okay, Dr. Lee, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I've got my shifts that I'm covering, and I've got the patients in my practice that I'm seeing, and I've got my family. Like you're the father of 5 children, and they've got all these activities, and they're already complaining that they don't get to see me enough. And I've got the wife who's giving me the look like, if you do one more thing, it's going to be trouble in paradise. They're saying, how on earth? And now you're talking about me monetizing my platform.
Yes.
Tell me, how am I supposed to fit all this in there? I do want to have that leverage. I do want to be able to push back and tell them I can't take that shift at the hospital because I do want to take advantage of this. I don't see how to task manage all of this.
So there's a few. One, I would say I can help you, but that would be the first thing. But the second is you have to look at the current model and how you are earning. And it is not a long-term play. So most physicians, if you're working 6 days a week, pulling 12-hour shifts, you're limited in how much you can earn. And once there's no more days in the week, you can't earn anymore. And for me, I had this epiphany. It was like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to do things on my terms. I want to have this lifestyle that I want. But you know what? The current trading my time for money isn't going to scale for me. And so instead of thinking, how am I going to do it? I would encourage physicians to think about why they need to do it. Why do you need to do it? And why do you need to do this now? And what is the reasoning behind it? And so, one of the biggest, so in my book, Persist, I talk about the most common excuses why people aren't living their dreams. And one of the main things that I talk about in that book, and then one of the main things I hear is I don't have time. And physicians don't have time. And so I feel like it's really easy to say, I don't have time. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But understanding your why, and then with that intention, having intending to do it, you will find a way. Now you can work with guys like me that will help you do that.
Sure.
But it's really around that intention. And I think it's not, it's the desire is there, but I'm pushing physicians to now have intention in your day to do it. Okay. Create a system to actually get it done.
Correct. And you're saying working with someone who, like, such as yourself, to help lay that foundation. And I know as a coach that partnering with people to help them to get that foundation for that accountability, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you see somewhere where you want to be and you aren't sure how to get there because all around you is all you can see, or the things that you've been doing that aren't working for you, or maybe they are working for you. However, you're ready to pivot. You're ready to do something different. And you're just like, I just don't know how to get there. I see where I want to be. I'm just not sure how to get there. For you personally, did you reach out to others and say, hey, can you just point me in that direction? Can you talk to that? How difficult? Because sometimes being in a position such as a doctor, there's a persona that comes with that. It's like, I'm expected to know all of that. I've got all these degrees behind my name. Talk to the audience about what it was like to have to go and ask for help. How did you do that?
It's like anything else in life. If you're starting something new, you might not have the business savvy or the entrepreneurial mindset. You need somebody to train you. And so as docs, you had an attending, you had someone that you were following around, teaching you the ropes. It's one of the oldest continuing apprenticeships models. Like, most physicians have worked under someone. Yes, you have to humble yourself. Yes, you have to put yourself back in a student kind of mindset. But in any path, I would encourage you in any path where you're trying to make a change or do something new, you're going to need to have somebody come alongside you. Now there's lots for me. What I did was I started reading books and taking courses and going to events on how to do it. I mean, it was literally like, how do I start a speaking business? Google how to start a speaking business book. Okay. Best speaker alive online course. Take that. Big Money Speaker was one of the events that I went to. Go to an event, learn how to do these things. You have to put yourself in a position to learn, and then you're able to get to the next level. So now it's like people ask, well, how did you do this? Doc, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And it's really just putting yourself in a position of a student again, and studying this like you studied medicine with the same intensity that you studied medicine.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can get the results in a whole different area of your life.
That's good. So then the next question becomes like, okay, Dr. Lee, I've got my mind around this. I hear you. I'm going to make myself a personal brand. I understand the importance of, I understand how to monetize the professional platform. I understand why it's important that I do it. Here's where why are multiple streams of income so critical for legacy building?
Yeah. So I think I am so passionate about this because we saw it in the pandemic. So this pandemic was really kind of a catalyst for me to change a lot of things in my life. But you see it in the pandemic. You've been working for an organization for 10, 12 years. All of a sudden they got a bad quarter, a bad half a year, bad year, and your job's gone.
Yes.
Obviously, physicians is not as vulnerable, but some physicians did lose how they were making money. If you were a elective procedure surgeon
Yeah.
in the middle of the pandemic, your only way to earn money was taken away. You can't do
Yes.
elective procedures, right?
Yes.
And so we have to hedge against these things, and it's just a smart thing to do. So I've got family, I got a wife, I got kids. I ask myself, is it the smartest thing to have all my eggs in one bag? Work for somebody that could then decide to let me go,
Right.
and then my whole family is about to be no, I can do something better than this. I can figure something else better than this, right? I can figure something else better. And so I encourage physicians specifically, look at medicine as a platform, build multiple streams. It doesn't have to be another business. It could be investment, real estate. It could be, books, speaking, online courses, coaching other docs. But to have the multiple streams, then it gives you more negotiating power, because I don't need to work as much. So then if someone's coming to me, say, hey, we have this role, doc, you got to do 7 days on, 7 days off, and you working 24-hour shifts. Well, because I got money coming in from somewhere else, I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's the best way for me to practice medicine. I don't think that's the best thing for my patients. I think there's a better way to do this. But because physicians don't have multiple streams,
Right.
the contract comes to them. They don't negotiate. They just take it. They just take, hey, here's my annual salary. You just take it. And so now you have business running the doc to be efficient, see the patient as fast as you can, see as many as you can. And that's the only way for the business to grow. And so I'm really passionate about docs. I feel like the system needs to be led by providers and fit for doing the right thing by the providers and the patients, right? And right now, everything is structured to do the right thing for the business. So if a doc has a personal brand, if a doc has monetized that platform of medicine, they have multiple streams of income. It
Yeah.
will become a better physician because you'll have more negotiating power and more income coming in. You're doing a lot better. You're not as stressed. You're not flying home as fast. It's a win-win for all. So that's why I'm encouraging docs. Hone in on your personal brand, hone in on monetizing that. It will make you a better doctor.
That is awesome. This has been a great conversation, and the time has gone by much, much, much too fast. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, that we want to be able to partner with you in your endeavor to change the way that healthcare is. And I know that you're out in California, and I want you to share with the audience, before I do the call to action, how we might be able to partner with you in terms of Exhort Health. And just let us know what can we do to help you with your with this undertaking that you have.
I think the most important thing, you're gonna kill Doc Lee. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. This is what he does. I love it. I wouldn't change anything about this live at all. As soon as he finishes this call, he's going to tell us. While he's doing that, I'm going to do his call to action, this call to action right quick. I'm going to share with you how you can reach out to and get in touch with Dr. Lee. This is all of his social media, and he's made his brand. He knows about branding. He's made it very, very easy for you all to get in touch with him. He's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dr. Clarence Lee Jr. Don't worry, it's going to live in the show notes. He has 2 websites where you can find him, clarenceleejr.com and at exhorthealth.com. Again, all of this information is going to live in the show notes, but I do encourage you now to follow him on all of his social medias. And as I was asking you, share with us, how can we help you with this endeavor to change health? Because we agree with you, healthcare does need to change.
I think the most important thing that patients can do is to ask questions about the delivery of their care, and this is understanding your insurance company, understanding what your networks are, understanding why things are the way they are, what's included in your pharmacy benefits, who's in network, what co-insurance is. Ask questions of these insurance companies, because I feel like once the patient has more information, they're going to be able to push back on how care is delivered. And so we have to empower the patients. I'm going to work on getting the docs to have the right mindset of pushing back how we're forced to practice right now, but also empowering the patient to understand what you're actually paying your healthcare dollars for and what is that insurance company doing for you.
That's perfect. I love it. And I'll be the first one to tell any of my doctors and also the insurance company, I hire you, I will fire you. And that is the best thing that I think any of us can do. Now, I do have a final thoughts that I ask all of my guests, and you're not going to be exempt from this. When it comes to the power of personal branding, and as it relates to physicians, what is the one mindset shift that you want to leave with the listening audience when it comes to personal branding?
You are the business. You are the business, not the hospital, not the department that you work in, not the insurance company that you're in network for. You are the business. So that's the mindset shift to think of yourself as the business.
Absolutely. Dr. Lee, it has been my pleasure and my honor to have you as my guest, and for you just to drop these gems and nuggets with not just the profession of physicians, but just for us in general. I think you've shared so much with us, the patients, in terms of the knowledge of what we need to know when we're going in, and just us having a different perspective so that we will view our physicians differently, not connecting them with the insurance companies, but seeing them as a separate entity. And that's going to go a long way. I'm going to say goodbye to my audience, and then I'll be right back with you. And there you have it, another episode of Conversations with Coach. And I hope that this episode on the power of personal branding has enlightened you and has absolutely opened your eyes and your mindset to your own doctors when you go in to visit with them, and how you can partner with them and help them to change healthcare. It takes all of us, just like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes all of us. It takes the whole village to make a difference. And so if you're unhappy about healthcare, don't just sit back and complain about it amongst your friends and your families, but take an active part, just like what Dr. Lee, just like what he's doing to take an active part in it. You do your part as well. You know where to find me on all of my social media because you already do. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, Christina Mindset Coach, and also visit my website. It is Christina at ChristinaCC.com. I appreciate you so much, and I thank you so much for joining me here on this episode of Conversations with Coach. If you found this information on this episode to be helpful, I ask that you would save it, share it, and actually follow. And remember, life is only as good as your mindset. I'm going to see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Coach. Please be sure to follow Coach Christina on all of her social media platforms. And remember, life is only as good as your mindset.